Hello and welcome back to the Nasty Metal Productions channel here at YouTube. Welcome to the very first 70s hard and heavy video. Of course, it comes in the form of Album of the Week because of April 1st, well, lies on a Sunday. And of course, today is Easter. But I'm not picking any 70s album that has at least a Easter feeling. No, I'm going with, of course, pretty much Black Sabbath. Even though I could have gone with their very first record, which of course is regarded as one of the very first heavy metal albums ever released. However, instead of being that, I'm just going to do something not so contrary, not pretty much when talking about early, just early roots of metal. Instead, when it comes to Black Sabbath, instead of going with the most predictable album, I'm going with Sabotage, which is not so predictable in a way. It's kind of one of those albums when people talk about Black Sabbath, they usually talk about Paranoid, or Volume 4, or the first album, of course. Or even when it comes to later stuff, usually the Dio years, or Born Again maybe. But Sabotage is usually an album that's usually not so much talked about, and the thing is, it usually surprises me because of this is by far one of Black Sabbath's heavier albums. Probably next to like Master of Reality is like one of their heavier records. Though not the most kind of dark-linked album. If anything, it's probably the most angriest album because of the issues and that the band was going through at the time, usually with their management or record label. And that's definitely something you get with the song The Ritz, which is probably even though the album is very kind of angry in ways, this is probably the most because of it's like all their frustrations, everything is let off within this track, and it's mostly lyrically, with of course lines like the promises that were never came true, definitely one. But there's so many songs on here like Hole in the Sky, Symptom of the Universe, of course, probably the most popular song off of here. Megalomania, which is probably also their most proggiest song on the album. The way it just starts out kind of slow and gloomy and all sorts of that, but then it just turns into this straight up rocker of a song. It's just a complete build up. Pretty much 9 minutes of just, to me, I would say, of brilliance. Of course, you get Thrill of It All, which is definitely your typical kind of rocker on the album. Then, of course, you get Superstar, which is almost has this kind of symphonic almost feel, almost kind of, it's just something you expect to play on some sort of battlefield, or some sort of like you expect for like some knights or some sort of thing. It just has that kind of feel, but backed by definitely a tasty guitar riff. And of course, Am I Going Insane? Probably one of the more commercially sounding songs on the album, though I have a soft spot for the song. But just all rounded up, of course, they got Don't Start Too Late, which is kind of a nice sort of acoustic track to it, almost very dark and stuff, kind of very much kind of keeping up with the transition from like in a way from like the last album for this one, Sabbath Bloody Sabbath. But still, to me, this is a classic, and it's one of my all-time favorite albums. I remember getting this one for like Christmas years ago, and because then, and since then, it has a complete nostalgia trip for me, but I can still come back to this album years later, and it's still be taken back by how pretty much underrated some of this album is. I always kind of feel this album is a little bit underrated, even though there are definitely people out there that like the album, but I don't see it nearly getting as much praise as usually the first 3 or first 4 albums. I don't think it's nearly as filler-ridden as maybe something like Technical Ecstasy, or even like Sabbath Bloody Sabbath. Even to some extent, I kind of feel Volume 4 has a little bit of filler here and there, but I don't think it's nearly as much, though, as like a Technical Ecstasy, which I don't think is nearly is that great of an album, even though it's not bad. But I feel like the very rock and heaviness of this album just outweighs that album. Anyways, I just felt like this would be a good album to kind of kick off 70s Hard and Heavy, and another album that kind of really, to me, summons up 70s Hard and Heavy other than Sabotage by Black Sabbath. Even though there's many other albums we'll be talking about throughout this month that definitely summon up the whole title of 70s Hard and Heavy. But this album definitely is a good way to start off instead of just starting off with their first album. It's so predictable. Anyways, hope you enjoyed this video and hope you enjoy this whole entire month and what I have in store for you. So until then, this is Hippie Thrashers. I'm out. I'll see you later. Take care.